Donald Trump is notorious for what people like to refer in his speeches as word salad. And in this breaking story, the irony in that is how often the political people who speak to the media constantly talk about the unfairness of the mainstream media. And yet, in this breaking story, watching the false equivalency and the wordsmithing and the selective memory of people in political positions of power and also political pundits in position of power to affect how people think. You cannot believe what just got presented yesterday in two particular interviews regarding January 6th. Take a listen.
But he wasn't convicted in the Senate.
Well, if Senator Cassidy had his druthers, he would have been.
But he wasn't. He had a trial, right? He was impeached, which was a political process.
And how people think in this breaking story is what led to the actions of January 6th, 4 years ago, yesterday.
Look, I was in the White House where BLM rioters were trying to get in. I had to have the Secret Service help me get home safely. Those people were not treated as harshly as some of the people on January 6th. We saw some people
but you know
were
that
peaceful
those are
and
two different
invited
things.
in.
Those
Others
are absolutely two different things.
But
those are one group of people. Wait, let's be clear.
There was a two-tiered system of justice.
Hold on,
people
one group
did
of
vote
people.
on.
And yet it's amazing the amount of twister game people will play to try and convince, and it has worked, by the way. It has worked. And in this breaking story, you're going to literally witness a collection of the angles of what people tried to say and continue to want you to believe in what really happened 4 years ago yesterday.
One group of people were protesting for racial justice, and one group of people were trying to
burning down police stations and burning down courthhouses,
and we're trying to overturn a legitimate election. Those are two very different things, and we did see people prosecuted for violent actions when they took them, but a group of people coming on to the steps of the Capitol, trying to interrupt the peaceful transfer of power. Let us be clear, it is not the same.
The fact that this debate.
And if this is not both disturbing to you, but also for me, sets the precedent of what we're going to face for the next 4 years.
He wasn't convicted in the Senate. It was this issue of democracy in January 6th has been litigated not only in the court system for the big, long investigation. Maybe someone had heard of it. You know, Jack Smith. I don't know if anybody remembers that name.
As for January 6th, today, it was a decisive victory. It was a very clean and clear process. That is refreshing. That is positive for the country. I think that everyone was able to get through this unscathed and without incident. That is a great day for America.
It was litigated in the electoral system. We had an entire election where Democrats ran on democracy in January 6th, and the American people dismissed it as well.
That is at least the lesson that Donald Trump has taken
That's
from
the
this.
lesson that Donald Trump wants to take, but let's be very clear. An election is not the same thing as a jury verdict where the same group of people heard all of the same evidence and then rendered a verdict. That's not the same.
But you show that crowd on the mall, right? You know how many people got prosecuted by the FBI, by the Department of Justice? There are 1,500 people that were prosecuted. So that picture that Trump puts out on the mall of all those people.
But hang on. What?
Let's just say
David,
that all those people weren't violent protesters. The people on the Supreme Court side, however,
they were trespassing.
They were trespassing.
Okay, listen,
there's a difference between trespassing.
That conversation is still happening. TV shows that it's not just trying to gaslight or whitewash or erase history, what everyone saw before their eyes 4 years ago, because we did all see it. It's actually the success of that effort. It's not it's not just that he's trying, but that Donald Trump has successfully convinced a huge swath of America that they didn't see what they saw on January 6th. And when it was litigated politically, and this is where the election comes into play, as you noted, this was not the thing that voters decided this past election on. They weren't affirming Donald Trump's behavior of January 6th in any way whatsoever.
No.
But they were saying that was not how they were going to decide the results of this most recent.
I don't think you can discount that there was violence that day.
I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying that
they shouldn't be allowed to trespass.
Everybody should not be treated equally. They were violent criminals, right? They shouldn't be treated equally. There are people, these people who are beating the police should go to jail. There's no excuse for it, right? There's no excuse for it. Some of the people on the
Do you think then those people should get pardons? Should those people
that
get
beat the police?
pardoned?
No, shouldn't
The
be
people that
pardoned.
Donald Trump is promising to pardon?
He didn't promise to pardon everybody. He said he's going to look at it case by case basis. Let's just be factual. Those are the words, right? And to be factual.
Verdict takes into account the fact that the American people and the voters also saw the lawfare that came before and after that. They saw the weaponization of the federal government against political opponents, and they voted to stop that. But they voted to secure the border.
They didn't vote
unleash
for
energy.
what
They voted
happened
to
on
bring down
January 6th. They didn't vote
costs.
for what happened on January 6th. And I think what you've seen today is really, yes, the peaceful transfer of power. It is in marked contrast to what happened on January 6th. And Donald Trump, the problem is that part of what happened on January 6th is the story that Donald Trump wants to tell about himself, that he didn't lose and that these people were actually acting in a just cause, and that's why he wants to pardon them. But that is not the real story. And he's made it part of loyalty tests. You have to answer whether or not you believe that he won the last election in order to work for him in this current administration that is coming. So the problem here is that we are still in the era of January 6th 4 years ago. That hasn't changed.
Go ahead, Karen.
In the bigger picture, though, Lulu, to what you're saying, this is why the American people deserve a full accounting of history. And it's why Merrick Garland should release the final report that he gets from Jack Smith, because we, the people, we paid for it with our tax dollars. We deserve to know, for the record of history, what exactly happened. You heard a new Republican senator even say, we don't really know all the facts about what happened. We deserve to know the facts, particularly because what we're seeing is akin to what we're seeing conservative MAGA folks do all over the country. They're trying to rewrite history and gaslight us that what we saw with our own eyes didn't happen, and it did happen.
The only person that died on January 6th, there was one person that died. Ashley Babbitt was the only person who was died.
And she was there because Donald Trump
wait a minute.
If you're arguing because he didn't die on the 6th and he passed away on the 7th.
We're talking about who died on January 6th.
That is beyond splitting hairs.
It's not splitting hairs.
Come on.
The man literally said one person died on January 6th, completely discounting the people who died shortly thereafter. Seriously?
But there's a completely different story here on the other side of the Capitol, where the stanchions were moved, where people were allowed in, right? Doors were opened. I challenge anybody in America, go to YouTube. You can watch all this.
They were outnumbered.
They were not. They were walking by.
And we need to know, as we try, I appreciate that Joe Biden is trying to say to people, let's lay down a marker around what the norms really are, what it should look like. But at the same time, there has to be accountability. There has to be some transparency here so that people really know what lengths.
Unfortunately, I don't think there will be.
Why else was she there? She wouldn't have been there that day if Donald Trump didn't spread conspiracy theories about an election that he knew was not stolen.
Again,
and he told those people to go to the Capitol. And so she was there as a result of him telling her to be there.
One person that was killed.
She would not have died if it were for Donald Trump to accept the results of the election.
She would have died if the police officer didn't wrongfully shoot her. I wish January 6th, I wish the January 6th committee would have done a full investigation for the American people to see and hear.
But as you're looking for, why Trump was reelected, him going into office, do you think it is a smart move for him to make one of his first actions, pardoning some of those people? And I know you say case by case basis, but we don't still have a clear picture yet on.
No, listen, I think I can give you a long list of things to precede pardoning some of these criminals.
So you don't agree it should be day one?
I don't agree it should be day one, no.
The mere fact, folks, that we live in a country now where there is constant conversation going on as we speak about the national debt and tax dollars and cutting wasteful spending, but yet the one thing that both political parties can't seem to agree on is spending tax dollars on presenting the facts 4 years later of what actually happened that day and making it public record. That, my friends, is utterly disgusting. Stay calm, hang in there, but stay frosty.